Between the two growing media companies, Control P Publishing and El Rito Media Group, they own 10 news organizations around the state, from Espanola to Carlsbad. Most of them are print newspapers, which continue to struggle both on the financial and readership sides. So we wanted to understand why the companies, whose owners are well-known political figures, are running around buying up fish wrappers at a time when local news is teetering. Pat Davis is the owner and publisher of Control P. He's also the recently departed Democratic president of the Albuquerque City Council, and he once started a progressive advocacy organization that's still around today. Rich Connor edits El Rito's 5 newspapers. He's an investor in the company too, and his business partners include Ryan Cangigliosi, a former chairman of the New Mexico Republican Party, and oil baron Harvey Yates, a one-time Republican National Committee man. We talked about flagging trust in media, why readers should trust overtly partisan ownership, and whether Davis's or Connor's goal is to actually make money. Here's that conversation. Pat, Rich, thanks to both you guys for joining me on New Mexico in Focus.
It's great to be back.
Great to be here.
Cool. Pat, I'm going to start with you, and I think I asked you a version of this question when we did this last year. Yeah. What is wrong with you that you have now bought not 1 but 4 newspapers of all things?
Well, they're cheap, which is sort of the piece. Says the former politician in me, like I still have this romantic idea that especially in small communities, there's a way to plug into local decisions, like being the city councilor in Albuquerque and sitting on the dais and having just the same 6 or 7 people come down every week really does make you feel disconnected from what's happening in the city and that there's such a big opportunity. I want to see more people participate in democracy, and I really have always been a romantic for these local small town stories. I grew up in a small town, and when those papers are gone, like these towns, they lose their identity, they lose their sense of connection because there's nothing to tell everybody what binds us together anymore. So it's a romantic, chaotic adventure that is not a for-profit endeavor, but it is really about storytelling, I think.
Gotcha, thank you. It's going to pain me to say this as someone who grew up as a journalist in newspapers and still loves them very, very much, but a recent study from the Reuters Institute found that nearly half of folks got their news from newspapers in 2013. That number was down to 16% last year. And the trends all show that basically no one under 50 reads newspapers and is never going to read newspapers. So Rich, I want to ask you, what is El Rito doing to make the legacy papers that y'all have bought relevant for younger New Mexicans?
Well, we've got a really interesting dichotomy that's going to be create an even wider gap in the way our papers are read with the acquisition of the papers in Alamogordo, Ruidoso, and Carlsbad. The first paper that the El Rito investors bought, and I'm an investor now, I wasn't then, in Espanola, the Rio Grande Sun. We sell 5,000 papers every Wednesday, single copy.
They're gone before you can get them off the printing press.
And we have 900 that are mailed. So I don't know of any place in the country that's like that, where you have that kind of brand loyalty. So that's totally different. And yeah, the people are older, but we have hawkers right outside our door, and people of all ages and all walks of life drive up or walk up and buy a paper. We went from 75 cents to $1. We didn't lose a reader. That's unheard of. So that is really an outlier in the business, the Rio Grande Sun. Great readers, great loyalty. When you get to the other papers we own, Artesia and the papers I mentioned that we just bought from Gannett, very low readership in print, but very high online.
Okay.
And the demographic is a little bit more diverse than you might think, more women than men, and we get some people under 50. And we're new into the papers we just bought, but the stuff we've looked at has been pretty interesting in that regard. But there's those papers that we have purchased had virtually no local news. So that's one of the things that attracted us to this. That's what we're going to be good at, and we hope build some readership. We think we'll build some print readership, but most of it will continue to be online.
I want to stay with you for a moment and talk strategy. Is El Rito trying to make a profit with these newspapers that y'all have bought, or is there some other motivation, kind of along the lines of what Pat was just saying?
No, that is a goal. It's not the priority. The first priority in buying the Rio Grande Sun was, and the original investors, if they had a mission, and they really didn't have a statement or anything, it was let's create an experiment to see if a local newspaper can be saved and that community journalism can remain alive. That's not to imply that the Rio Grande Sun was going out of business, but clearly these smaller papers are endangered. Mm-hmm. And so that was the number one priority. Can we save this? Can we make a go of it? I'll be held to this now, but we will be profitable with the addition of these 3 Gannett papers. They were highly profitable, believe it or not, mm-hmm. which flies in the face of what we all know. No local news, really no employees, no full-time employees, no salespeople, mm-hmm. and yet all 3 of them were very profitable.
Gotcha. Rich, the ownership group at El Rito includes Ryan Cangigliosi, who of course is a former Republican State Party chair, Harvey Yates, who is a former Republican National Committee man. I'm interested in why would the company miss an opportunity to shape perception through the news in a way that fits the ownership's agenda?
Well, that's a great question. We have 10 investors. The lead investor is Harvey Yates. He sees the paper the same time our readers see it. He's never been involved in a news decision or an editorial decision. So Ryan, I've met Ryan twice. So the investors really, they're not involved. That was one of the reasons that I agreed to come here in the first place was I've been the publisher of a number of newspapers and the editor of one, started as a reporter, and have had my own company for a long time, over 20 years. So, what I told the group was, I'm not used to having a boss. I haven't had one for a long time. I wasn't very good at being an employee when I had a boss. So I have to run the newspapers. And if you'd let me do that, we'll be fine. And it's really been amazing. We have a politician, state rep, Joseph Sanchez. He was an investor. He just sold his investment. Believe it or not, he got someone to buy it. Because he's going to do some other things, and he felt he might have a conflict. So we've really been lucky in that regard, and people immediately jumped onto the Republican Party chairs and thought we were going to have this agenda. The only agenda we've had in that regard is to try to bring what I would call some balance to these papers. And so in the North, in Espanola, most of the stuff that was written you'd say was left-leaning. In Artesia, it was right-leaning. And what I choose the stuff that's on the editorial pages, and I get feedback on it, but and I look to try to get balance.
With Control P, kind of broadly speaking, obviously you are the owner. Obviously you're making business decisions, but I have seen your byline on stories at CityDesk ABQ, including on some big stories. Mm-hmm. So what are folks to make of your role? Are you what we used to think of as the publisher? Are you the owner? Are you looking to get into the journalism game? I could advise you against doing that.
I could advise me against it too.
So what's your role?
Yeah, my role is simply, I'm trying to put all these pieces together, But when we picked up the smaller papers in Sandoval County, in the Sandoval Signpost or Corrales Comment or the Independent, as Rich said, they had a half-time person or a full-time person. And so we all sort of have chipped in a time or two to cover a city council meeting. When we launched City Desk, we were looking for staff. Somebody had to cover that meeting, and so I step in and do it, but we're clear about who I am. I get edited like everybody else. And the few times I've done it, we've done it as a columnist role, where it's clear that I'm writing from my perspective and doing that. But I haven't written, I think, since April, and that's our long-term goal. But in these startup papers, when it used to be an editor who was the cook and bottle washer and printer and layout and driver, building a team to take on all those roles has been really hard. And sometimes I step in to help. But I still get edited just like everybody else.
Okay, gotcha. Just sticking with this theme for a moment, Rich, I want to go back to you. And I appreciate what you told me earlier about the firewalls you feel like are in place. But do you feel like the reporters and editors working at your newspapers would, for example, feel comfortable in critical coverage of, say, the oil and gas industry, given Harvey Yates's job and stature in that business?
It's a great question. In Carlsbad, we have a reporter by the name of Adrian Hedden. His beat with Gannett was the environment, and obviously oil and gas falls under that. Artesia just celebrated 100 years of the first major well in New Mexico. Called Illinois number 3. It was drilled by Harvey Yates's grandfather. Adrian covered that. There was a big dinner. There was a weekend celebration. He covered that. No one by the name of Yates saw any of those stories before they appeared. And what I've told him is it's going to be more pressure to make certain that that he comes across as being fair. It's a very controversial subject, obviously. It's very hard to be right, if you will. And one of the things that he said that we hope we can help with is the environmental climate change people are very easy to access. They call them, they write them, they call them right back. He says the oil and gas people aren't. So
I can relate to that.
That's true.
And so one of the things we've done is when we meet some oil and gas people, they helped sponsor a special publication we did. We've said, hey, our reporter that covers this says you don't call him back. You got to call him back. And it puts more pressure, I would say, on that one reporter. But what Pat just said about these papers is there's a couple things. It's hard to find people. You have all these journalists that have been laid off in the last 5 years, and you run ads. It's very difficult to find. I'm not just talking about good people that want to work at a newspaper anymore. Can you blame them when they got the statistics like you have? And so everybody at these smaller papers, and Carlsbad and Alamogordo are going to be bigger, but everybody's got to be willing to do virtually everything. Yeah. I've covered a couple of city council meetings up in Espanola. I haven't been a reporter for 40 years. And, I said, I've got to go over there. And someone said, no, you can cover them online. I'm like, you can?
You went, though, didn't you, Rich?
I did.
I'll bet you did.
Pen and paper in hand, yeah.
I also might have been sitting at home, too, when I went there. You got to be willing to do everything at these papers if you are committed to making them work and being personally involved in them and letting the public know that that's what you're willing to do to give them hopefully a good newspaper.
Okay, we're about out of time. I'm going to give you guys about 45 seconds apiece for this one, and I want to return to that Reuters Institute study for this last question. It found that overall trust in news in the U.S. is at 32%. That's an all-time low. Pat, I'll go to you first. Why should readers trust Control P stories? What are you doing to work on the trust problem?
Says the recovering politician, like 33% approval rating is pretty good from the job I just left. So I'll take that.
Fair.
But here, really what we're looking at, kudos to the local news fund, UNM Journalism School and NMSU's Journalism School. They've placed 2 interns and fellows with us now. One of them just graduated, turned into a full-time reporter. these kind of local efforts are trying to build the pipeline of New Mexico journalists who understand and grew up here and come back that want to work at the Independent in Edgewood, where Lily McCall was, now at City Desk. We're reinvesting in New Mexico, and I think that's what you really have to see. These ghost papers where Gannett had a banner, but the same story ran in Farmington and Carlsbad and Ruidoso and got all the names wrong and the maps wrong. That is as much about distrust as anything else. Look in your local paper and see that they're covering something local, and then pick up the phone and call their office and ask, how do I get a subscription? Go online and see if someone really calls you back. I think more and more you'll find that a New Mexican is calling you back in these papers that didn't used to be that.
Okay. Rich, what's El Rito doing to communicate with readers the strategies you guys are using to improve trust? We're obviously in the gutter where this is concerned. How are you all tackling that problem?
Well, with the 3 new papers in particular, we will be forming, next week we've owned the paper since June 5th. We have been working with Gannett, basically producing the same papers they were. We've added local coverage already. We were unfortunately aided by the fire in Ruidoso, obviously. But we did a great job of covering that. But we will next week, we will be totally divorced from Gannett.
Congratulations.
And, I got to try to be political and not respond, okay? We will be announcing that we are going to create advisory committees in each of those 3 communities, Alamogordo, Ruidoso, Carlsbad. And people will write us. I've done this before. They'll say, I want to be on the committee. And we'll meet with them probably initially every couple of weeks and say, this is your newspaper. This isn't our paper. These newspapers belong to the community. We are public trust, and we want you to tell us whether we're doing a good job, a bad job, and how we can do better. And I've had success with this before. So that's the major thing we're doing, as well as we've done this in Artesia and in Espanola. Invite people to write, take photos, we'll publish them. Newspapers, I've done this a long time. They're great at having rules that fit them, that don't fit the community, and are horrible at customer service. These papers belong to the people in the communities, and we need to make them think that. And hopefully they'll trust us a little bit more.
Well, thanks to both of you for the time this week, and good luck with the 2 companies.
Thanks.